This is part 3 of A Momentary Taste of Being by James Tiptree, Jr. Silence, bright, clinical emptiness, no clouds, no weeping, horizon, infinity. Somewhere words rise, speaking silence. I am the spouse. Cancel sound. Aaron, invisible and microbe-sized, sees on the floor of infinity a very beautifully veined silver membrane, which he now recognizes as an adolescent's prepuce, the disjecta of his first operation. Almost awake now, in fetal position, something terrible ahead if he wakes up. He tries to burrow back into the dream, but a hand is preventing him, jostling him back to consciousness. He opens his eyes and sees Kobe handing him a hot cup. A very bad sign. "You know about Tim," Aaron nods, sipping clumsily. "You haven't heard about Don Purcell, though. I didn't wake you, no medical aspects." "What about Don Purcell? What happened?" "Brace yourself, boss." "For Christ's sake, don't piss around, Bill." "Well, about 0300 we had this whole tremor. Blipped all Tig's tapes. I called around. Big flap. Finally got the story. It seems Don fired his whole scouter off on automatic. It's loaded with a complete set of tapes, records, everything he could get his hands on. The planet, see? They say it can punch a signal through to Earth when it gets up to speed." "But Don? Is Don in it?" "Nobody's in it. It's set on autopilot. The beast had some special goodies, too. Our people must have a new ear up someplace. Mars, I heard." Jesus Christ. So fast, it's happening, Aaron thinks. Where does Kobe get his information? Anything bad, he knows it all. Then when he sees the faint appeal under Kobe's grin, this is what he can do, his wretched offering. "Thanks, Bill." Aaron gets up effortfully. First Tim and now Don. War games on Centaur. It's all wrecked, all gone. "Things are moving too fast for the old man." Kobe leans back familiarly on Aaron's bunk. "Good thing, too. We have to get a more realistic political organization. This great leader stuff, he's finished. Oh, we can keep him on as a figurehead. Don and Tim are out too, for now anyway. First thing to start with, we elect a working committee." "You're crazy, Bill. You can't run a ship with a committee. We'll kill ourselves if we start politics." "Want to bet?" Kobe grins. "Going to see some changes, boss." Aaron sluices water over his head to shut off the voice. Elections? 2 years from nowhere? That'll mean the Russian faction, the US faction, the Third and Fourth Worlders, scientists versus humanists, versus techs, versus ecologists, versus theists, versus Smithites, all the factions of Earth in one fragile ship. What shape will we all be in when we reach the planet? If we live that long? In any colony we start... Oh, damn Yellowstone. Damn me. "General meeting at 1100, Kobe is saying. "And by the way, Tig really did go wandering for about 20 minutes last night. My fault. I admit it. I forgot the isolation seal was off. No harm done. I got him right back in." "Where was he?" "Same place, by the port where China was." "Take him with you to the meeting," Aaron says impulsively, punishing them all. He goes out to get some breakfast, trying to shake out the leaden feeling of oversleep, of doom impending. He dreads the meeting, dreads it. Poor old Yellowstone trying futilely to cover his lapse, trying to save public face. A figurehead. He can't take that. He'll go into depression. Aaron makes himself set up Tig's tapes to occupy his thoughts. Tig's tapes are worse than before. Composite score down another 5 points, Aaron sees, even before the 20-minute gap. His CNS functions are coming out of sync too, an effect he hasn't seen in an ambulant patient, especially one as coordinated as Tig. Curious. Have to study it, Aaron thinks apathetically. All our curves are coming out of sync. We're breaking up. Yellowstone was our pacemaker. Can we make it without him? Am I as dependent as Foy? It is time for the meeting. He plods down to the commons, sick with pity and dread. He is so reluctant to listen that he does not at first notice the miracle. There is nothing to pity. The Yellowstone before his eyes is firm-voiced, erect, radiating leaderly charisma. He is announcing, in fact, that Centaur's official green code for the Alpha Sun was beamed to Earth at 0500 this morning. What? As some of you are aware, Yellowston says pleasantly, our 2 scout commanders have also taken independent initiative to the same effect in messaging their respective terrestrial governments. I want to emphasize that their actions were pursuant to specific orders from their superiors prior to embarkation. We all regret, we here who have joined in this mission have always regretted, that the United Nations of Earth who sponsored our mission were not more perfectly united when we left. We may hope that they are so now, but this is a past matter of no concern to us, arising from tensions on a world none of us may ever visit again. I want to say now that both Tim Braun and Don Purcell— Yellowston makes a just perceptible fatherly nod toward the 2 commanders, who are sitting quite normally on his left, despite Tim's taped eye— faithfully carried out orders, however obsolete, just as I or any of us would have felt obligated to do in their places, had we been so burdened. Their duties have now been discharged. Their independent signals, if they arrive, will serve as confirmation to our official transmission to Earth as a whole. Now we must consider our immediate tasks. Jesus God, Aaron thinks. The old bastard. The old fox. He's got it all back. He took the initiative right out from under them while I thought he was dead out. Fantastic. But how the hell? Running those lasers up is a job. Aaron looks around, catches a hooded gleam from Bustamante. Old Black George was cooking in his electronic jungle, he and Yellowston. Aaron grins to himself. He is happy, so happy that he ignores the inner murmur, at a price. The biologic examination of the planetary life form returned to us by Commander Ku will start at about 1600 this afternoon. It will be conducted in Corridor Gamma 1 under decontaminant seal, but the entire operation will be displayed on your viewers. Yellowston smiles. You will probably see it better than I will. Next, and concurrently, the drive section will prepare to initiate change of course toward the Alpha Planet. Each of you will secure your areas for acceleration and course change as speedily as possible. The vector loadings will be posted tomorrow. Advise Dawn and Tim of any problems in their respective sections. First Engineer Singh will deal with Gamma section in the absence of Commander Ku. And finally, we must commence work of the adapting and refining of our general colonization plan to the planetary data now at hand. Our first objective is a planetary atlas, incorporating every indicator that your specialties can extract from the gamma tapes. On this, we can build our plans. I remind you that this is a task requiring imagination and careful thought of every contingency and parameter. Gentlemen, ladies, the die is cast. We have only 2 years to prepare for the greatest adventure our race has known. Aaron starts to smile at the archaism, finds he has a fullness in the throat. The hush around him holds for a minute. Yellowston nods to Dawn and Tim, and they get up and exit with him. Perfect, Aaron thinks. We'll make it. We're okay. Screw Kobe. Daddy lives. Everyone is jabbering now. Aaron makes his way through them past the great flowering wonder of lorries, of the Alpha Planet, our future home. Yellowston will get us there. He's pulled it out. But at a price, the gloomy corner of his forebrain repeats. The big green light is on its way to Earth. Not only we, but all the people of Earth are committed to that world. That planet has to be all right now. He goes to assemble his equipment, irrationally resolved to double his emergency decontaminant array. Log 124-586 SD 4100x1200. Notice to all personnel. Corridor Gamma 1 will be under Space Hazard Seal, starting 1545 this day, for the purpose of bioanalysis of alien life specimen. Attendance will be limited to 1. Centaur Command Cadre Alpha, 2. Designated Xenobiosurvey/medical personnel, 3. EVA Team Charlie, 4. Safety/survival staff assigned to corridor access locks. The foregoing personnel will be suited at all times until the unsealing of the corridor. Because of the unknown risk factor in this operation, additional guards will also be stationed on the inboard side of all access ports. See Special Duty Roster attached. Unauthorized personnel will not, repeat, not, Enter Gamma 1 starting as of now. Video cover of the entire operation from the closest feasible points will be available on all screens on Ship Channel 1 starting approximately 15:15 hours. Yellowstone, CMDG. In Corridor Gamma 1, the major risk factor is wires. Aaron leans on a bulkhead amid his tangle of equipment, holding his bulky suit and watching Jan Ing wrangle with electronics. The xenobiology chief wants a complete computer capability in the corridor. There is no way of passing the cable through the lock seals. The EVA team is appealed to, but they refuse to give up any of their service terminals. Finally, the issue is resolved by sacrificing an access lock indicator panel. Engineer Gomulka, who will double as a guard, starts cutting it out to bring the computer leads in. Wires are snaking all over the deck. XB has brought in half their laboratory, and he can see at least 8 other Waldo-type devices in addition to the biomonitor extension equipment. On top of it all, the camera crew is setting up. One camera is opposite the small hatch that will open into China Flower's personnel section, 2 by the big cargo hatch behind which the alien thing will be, plus a couple of overhead views. They are also mounting some ceiling slave screens for the corridor, Aaron is glad to find. He is too far back to see the hatches. The safety team is trying to get the cables cleared into bundles along the wall, but the mess is bound to get worse when the suit umbilicals come into use. Mercifully, general suiting up will not take place until the EVA team has winched China Flower up to her berth. Aaron's station is the farthest one away, at the stern end of the corridor. In front of him is an open space with the EVA floor lock, and then starts the long xenobiology clutter. Beyond XB is the big cargo hatch, and then the small hatch, and finally, in the distance, is the corridor command station. Command Cadre Alpha means Yellowstone and Tim Braun. Aaron can just make out Tim's eye patch. He's talking with Don Purcell, who will go back to man Centaur's bridge, in case of trouble. Aaron peers at his racks of decontaminant aerosols mounted opposite the hatches. They have wires, too, running to a switch beside his hand. He had trouble with XB about those cans. Jan Ing would rather be eaten alive than risk damaging their precious specimen of alien life. A hand falls on his shoulder. Captain Yellowstone, coming in the long way round, his observant face giving no hint of what must be the chemical conditions in his bloodstream. "The die is cast," Aaron observes. Yellowstone nods. "A gamble," he says quietly. "The mission... I may have done a fearful thing, Aaron. They were bound to come, on the strength of the other 2. The only thing you could have done, sir." "No." Aaron looks up. Yellowstone isn't talking to him. His eyes are on some cold cosmic scoreboard. "No. I should have sent code yellow, and announced I had sent the green. Ray would have kept silent. That would have held back the UN ships, at least. It was the correct move. I failed to think it through in time." He moves on down the corridor, leaving Aaron stunned. Sent the yellow and lied to us for 2 years? Captain Yellowstone? But yes, Aaron sees slowly, that would have saved something, in case the planet is no good. It would have been better. What he did was good, but it wasn't the best. Because he was drunk. My fault. My stupid susceptibilities. My... People are jostling past him. It's the EVA team, suited and ready to go out. Chief George Brokeshoulder's suit is a work of art, painted with blazing amaranth symbols. The last man by punches Aaron's arm. Bruce Jang, giving him a mean wink through his gold-washed faceplate. Aaron watches them file down into the EVA blister lock, remembering the same thing 3 weeks ago when they had gone out to bring in China Flower, with Lori unconscious inside. This time all they have to do is reel up the tether. Risky enough. The rotational mechanics could send a man into space, Aaron thinks. He is always awed by skills he doesn't have. A video screen comes to life, showing spinning stars. A spacesuit occults them. When it passes, 3 small yellow lights are moving toward a blackness. The helmet lights of the team going down to China Flower far below. Aaron's gut jumps. An alien is out there. He is about to meet an alien. He blinks, begins to sort and assemble the extensor mounts on which his sensors will be intruded into the scouter's cargo hold. As he does so, he notices faces peering at him through the vertex of the nearest access lock. He waves. The faces, perceiving that the scenario has not yet started, go away. It will be, Aaron realizes, a long afternoon. By the time he and Ing have lined up their equipment, all non-operational people, except the suit team, have left the corridor. The hull has been groaning softly. China Flower is rising to them on her winch. Suddenly the hull beside him clanks, grinds reverberatingly. The port probes engage, the grinding stops. Aaron shivers involuntarily. The alien is here. As the EVA lock cycle begins flashing, Tim Braun's voice says on the audio, "All hands will now suit up." The EVA team is coming back inside. The suit men work down the corridor, checking and paying out the umbilicals as neatly as they can. It's going to be cramped working. The suit team reach him last. As he seals in, he sees more faces at the side lock. The video screens are all on now, giving a much better view, but still the faces remain. Aaron chuckles to himself, the old ape impulse to see with the living eye. All non-operational personnel will now clear the area. The EVA team is lined up along the wall opposite China Flower's personnel hatch. The plan is to open this first in order to retrieve the scout ship's automatic records of the alien's life processes. Is it still alive in there? Aaron has no mystic intuitions now, only a great and growing tension in his gut. He makes himself breathe normally. Guards, secure the area. The last corridor entrances are dogged tight. Aaron sees a faceplate turned toward him 3 stations up the XB line. The face belongs to Lori. He flinches slightly. He had forgotten she would be here. He lifts his gloved hand, wishing he was between her and that cargo port. The area is secure, the guards stationed. George Brookshoulder and 2 other EVA men move up to open the lock coupled to China Flower's personnel port. Aaron watches the close-up on the overhead screen. Metal clinks, the lock hatch slides sideways. The EVA men go in carrying vapor analyzers. The hatch rolls shut. Another wait. Aaron sees the XB people tuning their suit radios, realizes the EVA men are reporting. He gets the channel. Nominal. Atmosphere nominal. Crackle, crackle. The hatch is sliding back again. The men come out accompanied by a barely perceptible fogginess. Lori looks back at him again. He understands. This is the air she had breathed for nearly a year. The ship's tapes are being handed out. The alien is, it appears, alive. Metabolic trace regular to preliminary inspection. Envelope unchanged. Jan Ing's voice comes on the audio. Intermittent bioluminescence, 2 to 80 candle power. 80 candle power? That's bright. So Lori hadn't lied about that anyway. A strong peak coinciding with the original docking with Centaur. A second peak occurred, yes, about the time the scout ship was removed from its berth. That would be about when Tig did, or didn't, open the container, Aaron thinks. Or maybe it was stimulated by moving the ship. One of the fans which circulate its atmosphere is not operating, the XB chief goes on, but the remaining fans seem to have provided sufficient movement for adequate gas exchange. Its surface atmosphere requires continuous renewal, since it is adapted to constant planetary wind. It also exhibits pulse-like internal pressure changes. Aaron's mind is momentarily distracted by the vision of himself stepping out into planetary wind, a stream of wild, unrecycled air. That creature in there dwells on wind. A pod-like mass about 4 meters long, Lori had described it. Like a big bag of fruit. Squatting in there for a year, metabolizing, pulsing, luminescing. What else has it been doing? The functions of life. Assimilation, excitation, reproduction. Has it been reproducing? Is the hold full of Kobe's tiny monsters waiting to pounce out? Or ooze out, swallowing us all? Aaron notices he has drifted away from his decontaminant switches. He moves back. The masses constant, activity vectors stable, Jan concludes. So it hasn't been multiplying. Just squatting there. Thinking, maybe? Aaron wonders if those bioluminescence peaks would correlate with any phenomena on Centaur. What phenomena? Tig sightings, maybe. Or nightmares? Don't be an idiot, he tells himself. The imp in his ear replies that those New England colonists didn't correlate ocean currents and winter temperatures either. Absently, he has been following the EVA team's debate on whether to cut open the viewport to the alien that Lurie welded shut. It is decided not to try this, but to proceed directly to the main cargo lock. The team comes out, and the men assigned to the extension probes pick up their equipment, cables writhing in a slow snake dance. Bruce and the EVA chief undog the heavy cargo hatch. This is the port through which the scout ship's ground-side equipment, their vehicles and flyer and generator, were loaded in. The hatch rolls silently aside. The two men go into the lock. Aaron can see them on the video screen, unsealing the scouter's port. It opens. No vapor comes out because the hold is unpressurized. Beyond the suited figures, Aaron can see the shiny side of the cargo module in which the alien is confined. The sensor men advance, angling their probes into the lock like long-necked beasts. Aaron glances up at another screen, which shows the corridor as a whole, and experiences an odd, oceanic awareness. Here we are, he thinks, tiny blobs of life millions and millions of miles from the speck that spawned us, hanging out here in the dark wastes, preparing with such complex pains to encounter a different mode of life. All of us, peculiar, wretchedly imperfect. Somehow we have done this thing. Incredible, really, the ludicrous tangle of equipment, the awkward suited men, the precautions, the labor, the solemnity. Jan, Bruce, Yellowstone, Tim Braun, Bustamante, Alice Berryman, Kobe, Kawabata, my saintly sister, poor Frank Foy, stupid Aaron K. A stream of faces pours through his mind, hostile or smiling, suffering each in his separate flawed reality. All of us. Somehow we have brought ourselves to this amazement. Perhaps we really are saving our race, he thinks. Perhaps there really is a new earth and heaven ahead. The moment passes. He watches the backs of the men inside China, still struggling with the module port. The sensor men have closed in, blocked the view. Aaron glances up at the bow end of the corridor, where Yellowstone and Tim Braun stand. Yellowstone's arm is extended stiffly to the top of his console. That must be the evacuation control. If he pulls it, the air ducts will open, the corridor will depressurize in a couple of minutes. So will the alien's module, if it's open. Good. Aaron feels reassured. He checks his own canister release switch, finds he has again strayed forward, and moves back. Confused exclamations, grunts are coming over the suit channel. Apparently there is a difficulty with the module port. One of the sensor men drops his probe, moves in. Another follows. What's the trouble? The screen shows nothing but suit backs. The whole EVA team is in there. Oh! Sudden light. Cracks of radiance between the men, silhouetting them blue against a weird pink light. Is it fire? Aaron's heart jumps. He clambers onto a stanchion to see overheads. Not fire. There's no smoke. Oh, of course, he realizes. That light is the alien's own luminescence. They have opened the module. But why are they all in there? Why aren't they falling back to push the sensors in? Wide, rosy light flashes, hidden by bodies. They must have opened the whole damn port, instead of just cracking it. Is that thing trying to come out? Close it! Get out! Aaron calls into his suit mic. But the channel is a bedlam of static. Everybody is crowding forward toward that hatch, too. That's dangerous. Captain! Aaron shouts futilely. He can see Yellowstone's hand still on the panel, but Tim Braun seems to be holding on to his arm. The EVA men are all inside China Flower, inside the module even. It's impossible to tell. A pink flare lights up the corridor, winks out again. Move back! Get back to your stations! Yellowstone's voice cuts in on the command channel override, and the intercom babble goes dead. Aaron is suddenly aware of pressure around him, discovers that he is all the way up at the XB stations, being crowded by someone behind. It's Aiken's face inside the safety guard visor. They disengage clumsily. Move back. Go back! To your stations! EVA team, report! Aaron is finding movement oddly effortful. He wants very much to open his stifling helmet. George, can you hear me? Get your men out! The screen is showing confused movement, more colored flashes. Is somebody hurt? There's a figure coming slowly out of the hatch. What's going on in there, George? Why is your helmet open? Aaron stares incredulously as the EVA chief emerges into the corridor. His faceplate is open, tipped back, showing his bronze axe-shaped face. What the hell is happening? Did the alien grab them? George's arm goes up. He is making the OK signal. The suit-to-suit channel is still out. The others are coming out behind him, the strange light shining on their backs, making a great peach-colored glow in the corridor. Their visors are open too, but they seem to be all right, whatever happened in there. The screen is showing the module port. All Aaron can make out is a big rectangle of warm-colored light. It seems to be softly bubbling or shifting, like a light show. Globes of rose, yellow, lilac. It's beautiful, really. Hypnotic. They should close it, he thinks, hearing Yellowstone order the men to seal their helmets. With an effort, Aaron looks away, sees Yellowstone still by his station, his arm rigid. Tim Braun seems to have moved away. It's all right. Nothing has happened. It's all right. Get those suits closed before I depressurize. The EVA chief is slowly pulling his faceplate down. So are the others. Their movements seem vague, unfocused. One of them stumbles over the biopsy equipment. Why doesn't he pick it up? Something is wrong with them. Aaron frowns. His brain feels gassy. Why aren't they carrying out the program? Doing something about the bioluminescence? It's probably all right, though. Yellowstone is there. He's watching. At this moment, he is jostled hard. He blinks, recovers balance, looks around. Jesus, he's in the wrong place. Everybody is in the wrong place. The whole corridor is jamming forward of where it's supposed to be, staring at that marvelous glow. The guards, they're not by the ports. Something is not all right at all, Aaron realizes. It's that light. It's doing something to us. Close the port, he wills, trying to get back to his station. It's like moving in water. The emergency switch. He has to reach it. How did he ever get so far away? And the ports, he sees. The Vertex is crowded with faces. People are in the access ramps, staring into the corridor. They've come from all over the ship. What's wrong? What's happening to us? Cold fear bursts up in his gut. He catches the EVA lock and clings to it, fighting an invisible slow tide. Part of him wants to push his helmet off and run forward to the radiance coming from that port. People ahead of him are opening their visors. He can see Jan Ing's sharp Danish nose. "Stand away from that port!" Yellowstone shouts. At that, Jan Ing darts forward, pushing people aside. "Stop!" Aaron yells into his useless mic, finds himself opening his own visor, moving after Jan. Voices, sounds, fill his ears. He grabs another stanchion, pulls himself up to look for Yellowstone. The captain is still there. He seems to be struggling slowly with Tim Braun. The light is gone now, hidden by a press of bodies around the port. That thing in there is doing this, Aaron tells himself. He is terrified in a curious, unreal way. His head is singing thickly. He is also angry with those people down there. They were going in, blocking it. Lost. But is it they who are lost? Or the wonderful light? Someone bumps breast to breast with him, pulling at his arm. He looks down into Laurie's blazing face. Her helmet is gone. "Come on, Arn. We'll go together." Primal distrust sends an icicle into his mind. He grabs her suit, anchors himself to a console with his other arm. Laurie! She's in league with that thing. He knows it. This is her crazy plot. He has to stop it. Kill it. Where is his emergency release? It's too far. Too far. "Captain!" he shouts with all his strength, fighting Laurie, thinking, 2 minutes, we can get out. Depressurize! Dump the air! "No, Arn. It's beautiful. Don't be afraid." "Dump the air! Kill it!" he yells again. But his voice can't override the confusion. Laurie is yanking on his arm. Her exultant face fills him with sharp fright. "What is it?" He shakes her by the belt. "What are you trying to do?" "It's time, Arn. It's time. Come on. There's so many people." He tries to get a better grip on her, hearing metal clang behind him, and realizes too late he has let go his hold on the console. But her words are now making a kind of sense to him. There are too many people. It is important, quite important, to get there before something is all used up. Why is he letting them hide that light? Laurie has his hand now, drawing him toward the press of people ahead. "You'll see. It will all be gone. The pain. Arn, dear, we'll be together." The beauty of it floods Aaron's soul, washes all fear away. Just beyond those bodies is the goal of man's desiring, the fountain, the grail itself maybe, the living radiance. He sees an opening by the wall, pulls Laurie through, and is suddenly squeezed by more bodies from the side, a wall of people flooding out of the access port. Aaron fights to hold his ground, hold Laurie, only dimly aware that he is struggling against familiar faces. Alstrom is beside him, smiling orgasmically. He pushes past Kawabata, ducks under somebody's arm. As he does, a force slams their backs. He is clouted into something entangling and falls down under an XB analyzer still clutching Laurie's wrist. Arn, come on! Legs are going by him. It was Bustamante who hit him, forging past followed by a forest of legs. They have all come here to claim the shining glory in the port. Wildly enraged, Aaron struggles up, falls again with his own leg deep in a web of cables. Arn, get up! She jerks at him fiercely, but he is suddenly calmer, though he does not cease to wrench at his trapped leg. There is a small intercom screen by his head. He can see two tiny, struggling figures, Yellowstone and Tim Braun, their helmets gone. Dreamlike, tiny. Tim breaks away. Yellowstone nods once and fells Tim from behind with a blow of both locked fists. Then he slowly steps over the fallen man and goes off-screen. Pink light flares out. They have all gone in there, Aaron realizes, heartbroken. It has called us, and we have come. I must go. But he frowns, blinks. A part of him has doubts about the pull, the sweet longing. It feels fainter down here. Maybe that pile of stuff is shielding me, he thinks confusedly. Laurie is yanking at the cables around his legs. He pulls her into him. Lore, what's happening to them? What happened? He cannot recall the Chinese commander's name. What happened to your crew? Changed, she is panting. Her face is incredibly beautiful. Merged, healed, made whole. Oh, you'll see. Hurry. Can't you feel it, Arn? But he can feel it all right. The pull, the promising urgency. But he feels something else, too. The ghost of Dr. Aaron K. is screaming faintly in his head, threatening him. Laurie is trying to lift him bodily. He resists, fearing to be drawn from his shielded nook. The corridor around them is empty now, but he can hear people in the distance, a thick babbling down by that hatch. No screams, nothing like panic. Disregarding Laurie, he cranes to get a look at the big ceiling screen. They are all there, milling rather aimlessly. He has never seen so many people pressed so close. This is a medical emergency, he thinks. I am the doctor. He has a vision of Dr. Aaron K. getting to the levers that will seal that cargo hatch, standing firm against the crowd, saving them from whatever is in that hold. But he cannot. Dr. Aaron K. is only a thin froth of fear on a helpless, lunging desire to go there himself, to fling himself into that beautiful, warm light. He is going to be very ashamed, he thinks vaguely, tied here like Ulysses against the siren call, huddling under an analyzer bench while the others... What? He studies the screen again. He can see no apparent trouble. No one has fallen. The EVA men came out all right, he tells himself. What I have to do is get out of here. Laurie laughs, pulling at his legs. She has freed him, he sees. He is sliding. Effortfully, he reaches into his suit, finds the panic syringe. Arn, dear. Her slender neck muscles are exposed. He grabs her hair, seats the spray. She wails and struggles maniacally, but he holds on, waiting for the shot to work. His head feels clearer. The aching pull is less. Maybe all those people are blocking it somehow. The thought hurts him. He tries to disregard it, thinking, If I can get across the corridor, into that access ramp, I can seal it behind me. Maybe. Suddenly there is movement to his left, a pair of legs slowly stepping by his refuge. Pale gold legs he recognizes. Soli! Soli, stop! The legs pause. A small hand settles on the overturned stand beyond him. Just within reach. He can spring and grab her, letting go of Lori. To reach her, he must let Lori go. He lunges, feels Lori pull away, and clutches her again. He falls short. The hand is gone. Soli! Soli, come back! Her footsteps move on down the corridor. Dr. Aaron Kay will be ashamed. Ashamed. He knows it. The EVA men were okay, he mutters. Lori is weakening now, her eyes vague. No, Arn, she sighs. Sighs deeply again. Aaron rolls her, gets a firm grip on her suit belt, and crawls out into the corridor. As his head clears the shelter, the sweet pull grabs him again. There! Down there is the goal. I'm a doctor, he groans, willing his limbs. A thick cable is under his hand. From miles away he recognizes it. The XB computer lead, running toward the M-board lock. If he can follow that across the corridor, he will be at the ramp. He clasps it, starts to shuffle on his knees, dragging Lori. The thing down there is pulling at the atoms of his soul. His head is filled with urgent radiance, calling to him to drop the foolish cable and run to join his mates. I'm a doctor, he mumbles. It requires all his strength to slide his gloved hand along his lifeline. He is turning away from bliss beyond his dreams. Only meters to go. It is impossible. Why is he refusing? Going the wrong way. He will turn. But something has changed. He is at the lock. He sees. He must let go the cable and drag Lori over the sill. Sobbing, he does so. It is almost more than he can bear to nudge the heavy port with his heel and send it swinging close behind him. As it closes, the longing lessens perceptibly. Metal, he thinks vacantly. It has blocked it a little. Maybe it is some kind of EM field. He looks up. A figure is standing by the lock. Tiger! What are you doing here? Aaron pulls himself upright, with Lori huddled by his feet. Tig looks at them uncertainly, says nothing. What's in that boat, Tiger? The alien? Did you see it? What is it? Tig's face wavers, crumples. His mouth jerks. Mother! No help here. Just in time, Aaron notices his own hands opening the port lever. He takes Lori under the arms and drags her farther away up the ramp to the emergency intercom panel. Her eyes are still open. Her hands are fumbling weakly at her suit fastenings. Aaron breaks out the collar. It's an all-ship channel. Dawn! Commander Purcell, can you hear me? This is Dr. K. I am in Ramp 6. There's been trouble down here. No answer. Aaron calls again. Calls Kobe. Calls the commo and safety CQs. Calls everybody he can think of. Calls himself hoarse. No answer. Has everybody on Centaur gone into Corridor Gamma 1? Is the whole damned ship out there with that? Except Tig. Aaron frowns at the damaged man. He was in here. He didn't join the stampede. Tiger, did you go out there? Tig mouths, emits what could be a negative. He seems uninterested in the port. What does it take to stay sane near that thing, Aaron wonders? Cortical suppressants? Or did one contact immunize him? Can we prepare drugs? Can I lobotomize myself and still function? He notices he has drifted closer to the port, that Lori is crawling toward it, half out of her suit. He pulls her out of it, gets them both back up the ramp. When he looks up, there is a shadow on the port view panel. For a terrified instant, Aaron is sure it is the alien coming for him. Then he sees a human hand, slowly tapping. Somebody trying to get in, but he dare not go down there. Tiger! Open the port! Let the man in! He gestures wildly at Tig. The port! Look! You remember! Hit the latch, Tiger! Open up! Tig hesitates, turns in place. Then an old reflex fires. He sidesteps and slaps double-handed at the latch with perfect coordination, and as quickly sags again. The port swings open. Captain Yellowstone stands there. Deliberately, he steps through. Captain! Captain, are you all right? Aaron starts to run forward, checks himself. Tiger, close the port. Yellowstone is walking stiffly toward him, looking straight ahead. Face a little pale. Aaron thinks, no injuries visible. He's all right, whatever happened. It's all right. Captain, But there are more figures at the port, Aaron sees. Tim, Braun, and Kobe, coming in past Tig. Others beyond. Aaron has never been so glad to see his assistant. He yells something at him and turns to catch up with Yellowstone. Captain! He wants to talk about sealing off the corridor, about examining them all. But Yellowstone does not look around. The red, Yellowstone says in a faint, remote voice. The red is the correct signal. He walks on, toward the bridge. Some sort of shock, Aaron thinks, and sees movement by the wall ahead. It is Lori, up and staggering away from him. But she isn't going toward the corridor. She's going up a ramp into the ship. The clinic is where she belongs. Aaron starts after her, confident that the drug will slow her down. But his suit is awkward. He has not counted on that feral vitality. She stays ahead of him. She gains speed up the twisting tube as the G's let go. He pounds up after her, past the dormitory levels, past stores. He is half sailing now. Lori dives into the central free-fall shaft, but not going straight. He sees her twist left, toward the bridge. Cursing, Aaron follows her in. His feet miss the guides. He ricochets, has trouble regaining speed. Lori is a receding minnow shape ahead of him, going like a streak. She shoots through the command section sphincter, checks. Damn, she's closing it against him. By the time he gets it open and goes through, the core shaft is empty. Aaron kicks on into the astrogation dome. Nobody there. He climbs out of the free fall area and starts back around the computer corridor. Nobody here either. Alstrom's gleaming pets are untended. This has never happened before. It's like a ghost ship. Station after station is empty. The physics display screen is running a calculation, unobserved. A sound breaks the silence, coming from the next ring aft. Oh God! Bustamente's commo room! Aaron can't find the inside door. He doubles back out into the corridor, races clumsily sternward, terror in his guts as the sound rises to a scream. The commo room is open. Aaron plunges in, checks in horror. Lori is standing in the sacred gyro chamber. The scream is coming from the open gyro housings. Her arm jerks out, sending a stream of objects. Headsets, jacks, wrenches, into the flying wheels. Stop! He lunges for her, but the sound has risen to a terrible yammering. A death cry. The great pure beings who have spun there faultlessly for a decade, holding their lifeline to Earth, are in mortal agony. They clash, collide horribly. A cam shoots past him, buries itself in the wall. She has killed them, his mad sister. Gripping her, he stands there stunned, scarcely able to take in other damage. The housing of the main laser crystals is wrecked. They have been hit with something. That hardly matters now, Aaron thinks numbly. Without the gyros to aim them, the beam is only an idiot's finger flailing across the stars. We'll go together, Arn. Lori hangs on to him, weak now. They can't stop us anymore. Aaron's substrate takes over. He utters a howl and starts to shake her by the neck, squeezing, crushing, but is startled into stasis by a voice behind him saying, Bustamente. He wheels. It is Captain Yellowstone. I will send the red signal now. You can't! Aaron yells in rage. You can't! It's broken! She broke it! Pre-adolescent fury floods him, ebbs as he sees that remote, uncomprehending face. You will send the red signal. The man is in shock, all right. Sir, we can't send anything right now. Aaron releases Lori, takes Yellowstone's arm. Yellowstone frowns down at him, purses his lips. A 2-liter night. He lets himself be turned away, headed toward his quarters. Aaron is irrationally grateful. As long as Yellowstone hasn't seen the enormity, it isn't real. He pulls back the captain's glove, checks the pulse as they go. About 60, slow but not arrhythmic. "The technical capacity," Yellowston mutters, going into his room. "If you have the efficiency, you'll wake up in the morning." "Please lie down a while, Captain." Aaron closes the door, sees Lori wandering behind him. He takes her arm and starts back toward his office, resisting the faint urge to turn toward Gamma 1. If he can only get to his office, he can begin to function, decide what to do. What has hit Centaur's people? What did that alien do? A static discharge, maybe. Like an electric eel? Better try his standard adrenergic stim shot, if the heart rates are okay. That overwhelming attractant. He can feel it now, even here in Beta Corridor on the far side of the ship. Like a pheromone, Aaron decides. That thing is a sessile life form. Maybe it attracts food. Maybe it gets itself fertilized that way. Just happens that it works on man. A field, maybe, like gravity. Or some fantastically attenuated particle. The suits didn't stop it completely. I should seal it off. That's the first thing, he tells himself, leading Lori, docile now. They are passing Dawn's scout ship berth. But the beast isn't here. It's God knows how many thousand miles away now, batting out its message. Someone is here. Dawn Purcell is standing by an access ramp, staring at the deck. Aaron drags Lori faster. "Dawn! Commander, are you okay?" Dawn's head turns to him. The grin is there. The eyes have smile wrinkles. But Aaron sees his pupils are unequally dilated, like a pole-axed steer. How severe was that shock? He takes the unresisting wrist. "Can you recognize me, Dawn? It's Aaron. It's Doc. You've had a physical shock. You shouldn't be wandering around." Pulse slow, like Yellowstone's. No irregularity Aaron can catch. "I want you to come with me to the clinic." The strong body doesn't move. Aaron pulls at him, realizes he can't budge him alone. He needs his syringe kit, too. "That's a medical order, Dawn. Report for treatment." The smile slowly focuses on him, puzzled. "The power," Dawn says in the voice he uses at chapel. "The hand of the Almighty on the deep." "See, Arn?" Lori reaches out toward Dawn, pats him. "He's changed. He's Gentile." She smiles tremulously. Aaron leads her on, wondering how seriously people have been hit. Centaur can sustain itself for days, that part's all right. He will not think of the more fearful hurt, the murdered gyros, Bustamante. Bustamante can do something, somehow. But how long are people going to remain in shock? How many of them got hit by that thing? Who is functioning besides himself? Could it be permanent damage? Impossible, he tells himself firmly. A shock that severe would have finished poor Tig. Impossible. As he turns off to the clinic, Lori suddenly pulls back. "No, Arn! This way!" "We're going to the office, Lore. I have work to do." "Oh no, Arn! Don't you understand? We're going now. Together." Her voice is plaintive, with a loose, slurred quality. Aaron's training wakes up. Chemical supplementation, as Foy said. This is the time to get some answers from the subject. "Sis, talk to me a minute, then we'll go. What happened to them? What happened to Mei Lin and the others on the planet?" "Mei Lin?" She frowns. "Yes. What did you see them do? You can tell me now, Lore. Did you see them out there?" "Oh, yes." She gives a vague little laugh. "I saw them. They left me in the ship, Arn. They didn't want me." Her lips quiver. "What did they do, Lore?" "Oh, they walked. Little Koo had the video. I could see where they went. Up the hills toward the beauty. It was hours. And then Mei Lin and Lu went on ahead. I could see them running. Oh, Arn, I wanted to run too. You can't imagine how they look." "What happened then, Lore?" "They took off their helmets, and then the camera fell down. I guess the others were all running too. I could see their feet. It was like a mountain of jewels in the sun." Tears are running down her face. She rubs her fist at them like a child. What did you see then? What did the jewel thing do to them? It didn't do anything, she smiles, sniffing. They just touched it, you know, with their minds. You'll see, Arn. Please, let's go now. In a minute, Lore. Tell me, did they fight? Oh, no! Her eyes widen at him. No! Oh, I made that up to protect it. No hurting any more, never. They came back so gentle, so happy. They were all changed. They shed all that. It's waiting for us, Arn. See? It wants to deliver us. We'll be truly human at last. She sighs. Oh, I wanted so much to go, too. It was terrible. I had to tie myself, even in the suit. I had to bring it back to you. And I did, didn't I? You got that thing in the scouter all by yourself, Lore? She nods, dream-eyed. I found a little one. I poked it with the front-end loader. The contrast between her words and her face is weird. What were Ku and his men doing all this time? Didn't they try to stop you? Oh, no. They watched. They were around. Please, Arn, come on. How long did it take you? Oh, days, Arn. It was so hard. I could only do a little at a time. You mean they didn't recover for days? What about that tape, Lore? You faked it, didn't you? I edited it a little. He wasn't interested. Her eyes shift evasively, control returning. Arn, don't be afraid. The bad things are over now. Can't you feel it? The goodness? He can. It's there, pulling at him faint and bliss-laden. He shudders awake, discovers he has let her lead him nearly to the core, toward Gamma 1. Angrily, he makes himself grab the handrail and start hauling her back toward the clinic. It is like moving through glue. His body doesn't want to. No, Arn! No! She pulls back, sobbing. You have to! I worked so hard! He concentrates grimly on his feet. The clinic door is ahead now. To his infinite relief, he can see Kobe inside at the desk. You aren't coming! Lori wails and jerks violently out of his grasp. Oh! He jumps for her, but she is running away again, running like a god-damned deer. Aaron checks himself. He cannot chase after her now. He has evaded his duty too long as it is. Days, she said. This is appalling. And they were walking around. Brain damage... Don't think of it. He goes into the office. Kobe is looking at him. My sister is in psychotic fugue, Aaron tells him. She damaged our communication equipment. Sedation ineffective. He perceives he is acting irrationally. He should tackle the major medical situation first. How many people got shocked by that thing, Bill? Kobe's non-committal gaze does not change. Finally, he says dully, Shock. Oh, yes. Shock. His lip twists in a ghostly sneer. Oh, God, no. Kobe was in that corridor, too. Jesus, Bill, did it get you? I'm going to give you a shot of AD-12, unless you have other ideas. Kobe's eyes are following him. Maybe he isn't as severely affected, Aaron thinks. Post-coitum tristum. Kobe's voice is very low. I am Tristam. What did it do to you, Bill? Can you tell me? The silent, sad stare continues. Just as Aaron opens the hypo kit, Kobe says clearly, I know a ripe corpus luteum when I see one. He gives a faint, nasty chuckle. What? Obscene visions leap to life in Aaron's head as he bares Kobe's elbow and sends the epidermal jet into the vein. Did you didn't have some sort of intercourse with that thing, Bill? Intercourse? Kobe echoes in a whisper. No, not us, anyway. If somebody had intercourse, it was God, maybe. Or a planet. Not us. It had us. His pulse is slow, skin cold. What do you mean, Bill? Kobe's face quivers. He stares up into Aaron's eyes, fighting to hang on to consciousness. Say we were carrying it. Carrying a load of jism in our heads, I guess. And the jism meets the Queen Koozie of all time. And it jumps across. It makes some kind of holy zygote out there. See? Only we're left empty. What happens to a sperm's tail afterward? Take it easy, Bill. Aaron will not listen. Oh no, not to delirium. His best diagnostician raving. Kobe emits another ghastly snicker. Good old Aaron, he whispers. You didn't. His eyes go blank. Bill, try to pull yourself together. Stay right there. People are in shock. They're wandering around disoriented. I have work to do. Can you hear me? Stay here. I'll be back. Visions of himself hustling through the ship, reviving people. More important, sealing off that corridor, too. He loads a kit of stim hypos, adds cardiotropics, detoxicants. An hour too late. Dr. Aaron K. is on the job. He draws hot brew for them both. Kobe doesn't look. Drink up, Bill. I'll be back. He sets off to stores, steering against the pull from Gamma 1. It is weak here. He can make it quite easily. Is it in refractory phase, maybe? Shot its bolt. How long to recovery? Better attend to that first. Can't let it get them all over again. Miriam Stein is at her desk, her face absolutely quiet. It's Doc, Miri. You've had a shock. This will help you. He hopes, administering it to her passive arm. Her empty eyes slowly turn. I'm checking out some EVA rope, see? I'll leave you a receipt right here. Miri, look. You stay there until you feel better. Outside, he lets himself start across the ship, going with the pull. Joy opens in him. It is like a delicious sliding, like letting go sexually in his head. Am I acting rationally? He probes himself, scared. Yes, he can make himself turn, make himself go forward toward the first bow ramp. His plan is to close all the ports the crowd left open on their way into the corridor. 14. After that, he can, he knows, vent the air from the inboard side. Depressurizing will kill it, of course. The sensible thing to do. No, surely that isn't necessary? He will think about it later. Something is hurting him right now. At the bow ramp, his head still feels okay. The thing's lure is weak. The port is open. Dawn probably came this way. Cautiously, Aaron risks going down to it without tying his rope. All right. He has it swinging shut. As it closes, he peeks out down the corridor. A mess, no people he can see, but the rosy, living radiance. His heart misses, jumps, and the port closes almost on his nose. A near thing. He must take no chances on the next one. It will be nearer to that marvelous light. Will be, in fact, behind the command console where Yellowstone was. Aaron finds his feet hurrying, stops himself at the last turn in the ramp, and ties one end of the tether to a wall hold. The other end he knots around his waist. Multiple knottings. Must not be able to untie these in a hurry. It's well he did so, he finds. He is already stepping into the corridor itself, stumbling on helmets, gloves, cables. The great flare of warm light is about 20 meters ahead. He must go back. Go back and close the port. He stops himself at the command console and looks up at the video screen, still focused on China Flower's fiery heart. It is like jewels in there, he sees, awestruck. Great, softly glowing globes, dazzling, changing color as he looks. Some are dark, like a heap of fiery embers burning out. Dying? Grief wells up in him. He puts his hand up to hide it, looks away. These are his useless, evil canisters, and the corridor a shambles. Aftermath of a stampede. What was Kobe muttering about? Sperm. They went through here, tails thrashing. Arn! You came! From nowhere, Laurie is hugging his arm. Oh, Arn, dear, I waited. Get out of here, Lore! But she is working at his waist, trying to untie knots. Her face is ecstatic. A load of jism in the head, all right. Go away, Lore. I'm going to depressurize. We'll be together. Don't be afraid. Angrily, he pushes her behind him. I'm going to vent the air. Can't you hear me? The air is going out. He tries to head her back toward the ramp, but she twists away from him, gasping, Oh, Arn, please, Arn, I can't. And she is running to the light, to China's hatch. Come back here! He runs at her, is brought up by the rope. She wavers just beyond him, outlined in pale fire, turning, her fists at her mouth, sobbing. I'm going alone. No, Lore, wait! His own hands are ripping at the knots, but she is going, slipping away from him across the tangled floor. No, no! The warm light enwraps her. She has turned, is walking into it, is gone. A harsh warble breaks into his ears, waking him. He staggers back, finally makes out that the flashings on the console are launch warnings. Somebody is in the China Flower, taking off. Who's in there? Stop! He flips channels at random. You in the ship! Answer me! Goodbye, boy. Bustamante's voice echoes from the speakers. Ray, are you in there? This is Aaron. Ray, come out. You don't know what you're doing. I know to set course. Keep your shit, world. The deep voice is flat, mechanical. Come out here. Ray, we need you. Please listen, Ray. The gyros are broken. The gyros. Tough. A heavy metal purring shivers the walls. Ray, wait! Aaron screams. My sister is in there. She'll be killed. Your hatch is open. I'll be killed too. Please, Ray, let her come out. I'll close it. Lori, get out! His eyes are seeking desperately for the hatch control. His hands tear at the knots. She can come too. A death-like chuckle. Another lighter voice briefly there. Ray's women. Is Soli in there? The knots are giving. I'm going to that planet, boy. Ray, you'll wake up 1,000,000 miles in space. For Christ's sake, wait! He jerks, pulls loose. He has to get there, get Lori out. He has to save that living beauty, that promise. Other lights are flashing. There is a shudder in the walls. The ship, Lori, his brain cries faintly. He pulls the rope free and sees her shadow, her body wavering out blue against the radiance waiting there, waiting for him. With his last sanity, he strikes the big hatch lever, shoves it home. The big hatch starts to slide shut across the radiant port. No! Wait! Aaron starts to run to it, his hand still grasping the rope. He is running toward all he has ever longed for. But the walls clang, scrape thunderously, and a wind buffets him sideways. He grips the rope in reflex, sees Lori stagger and start to slide in the howling air. Everything is sliding toward the closing hatch. China Flower is going, falling away, taking it from him. They will all be blown out after her, but as Lori nears it, the hatch slides home, the last ray vanishes. The wind stops. The corridor is totally silent. He stands there, a foolish man holding a rope, knowing that all sweetness is fading. Life itself is falling out to the dark beneath him, going away forever. Come back, he whispers, aching. Oh, come back. Lori stirs. He lets fall the idiotic rope, goes to her bowed under a loss beyond bearing. What have I saved? What have I lost? Going away fainter yet. She looks up. Her face is clear, empty, very young. All gone now, the load in her head. A feeling of dumb weight comes over him. It is Centaur, the whole wonderful ship he had been so proud of, hanging over him mute and flaccid in the dark, the life spark gone away. Voiceless, unfindable in the icy wastes. His gut knows it is forever now. Nothing will ever be all right again. Gently he helps Lori up and starts walking with her to no place, she trustful to his hand, little sister as she had been long ago. As they move away from the corridor, his eyes notice a body lying by the wall. It is Tig.